What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the Canadian accent. Does it even exist? So, apparently, there are some people out there who claim that Canadians do not have an accent, which is very funny to me. It's like Americans who think that we don't have an accent, but everyone else in the world does, but we don't. It's like, no, the truth is we all have an accent, no matter where you come from. And it's kind of a really, really cool thing. So today, I'm very interested in hearing about what defines the Canadian accent and makes it unique. So, let's get to the bottom of this.
So it's been a while since I did a video on accents, and one of the most common comments that I get on my 35 accents video is that Canadians don't have an accent. That's what we call a nope. That's an untruth.
Really? Like, I'm genuinely surprised by this. He got a whole bunch of comments saying there's no Canadian accent when he did his accent video. That really surprises me. It's like, who? I guess perhaps from my American point of view, this is especially surprising because in America, Canadians, you famously have a Canadian accent. So for us Americans, like, we're a little bit, I'm a little bit taken aback by this. I'm a little bit offended for you that a bunch of people are like, no, there's no Canadian accent. What is that? It's like, no, there definitely is. It's cool.
Now, if English isn't your first language, then it's probably a little bit harder to tell the difference between an American and a Canadian accent, but I promise you it's there, and don't worry, I have receipts.
True.
Also, just a note, I'm not going to tackle the Newfie accent. Mind your mouth. Don't even know if I did that right. Or Quebecois, or any other Canadian accent other than general Canadian.
Oh, that's a good thing to distinguish, isn't it? Like most Americans, when I think of a Canadian accent, I think of, I guess, the generic, perhaps stereotypical Canadian accent. In America, and all of our like pop culture and media, whenever there's a Canadian, it's this way over the top accent that I know isn't real. I mean, maybe it's real in some part of Canada, but it's like, oh, hey there, buddy, how's it going? Oh, hey, it's a nice day out, eh? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's very over the top, and I am pretty sure that a lot of Canadians don't actually sound like that. But that's what Americans think is the general Canadian accent. He's also talking about how there's a Quebecois, which would be like a French accent, right? And a Newfie, like Newfoundland, has an accent, apparently, which is very interesting to me. But we're not getting into all that, I think. Just the Canadian accent, whatever that means.
Kind of like how there's a general American accent, but with little or big pockets of regional and localized accents.
Sure.
Also, before you comment, hashtag not all Canadians. Let's get started. So Canadians sometimes...
Right. Okay. Let's get started indeed. Right. This doesn't account for like all Canadians and how they talk, but for the purposes of discussion, let's see.
Flip around the sounds ah and ah from how they sound in a general US accent. Think on and off. Americans say on and off, where Canadians say on and off. Do you hear it? Please.
What now? Huh? What is this? I've never heard of it explained this way, spelled out in this much detail. Is this what it is? On and off? I say on and off differently than how a Canadian would say off.
On and off, where Canadians say on and off.
Off? Off? Like I'm from Boston? That's not even a Boston. That's a terrible Boston accent, but off? I feel like I'm hurting my vocal cords, straining here. Off. Off. I guess there's a little difference there. Is that true? That is certainly not an aspect of the Canadian accent that I ever realized, but maybe that's true.
Do you hear it? Please tell. Do you hear it? Listen.
Also, I totally already knocked off item number 2.
During off-peak hours,
Oh, I have a crush on them.
American, take it off. Canadian, take it off.
Oh my goodness. There's something to this. What? How the heck does something like that even begin? If you know what I'm saying, like, how is there such a small difference between how Americans and Canadians speak? Like, how does that even happen? Linguistically, historically, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to find out, but off? So if I was sneaking around in Canada, and or any American was, and you heard us being like, turn off that light switch right now, you Canadian. Wait, that would give us away immediately. And sounds a little derogatory as well. Hey, please turn off that light. We'd just immediately be targeted. Everyone's head would snap around and be like, American. He said off. 'Cause you say off? Off. Okay, that is very interesting to me.
American, put it on. Canadian, put it on. You just put.
Okay, and as for this on and on thing, does anybody hear the difference? Like, can anyone actually distinguish between the two ons? There's a Canadian on and an American on. Can anybody hear the difference? Because I can't.
Take it off. American, put it on. Canadian, put it on. You just.
On? I'm not even gonna pretend. I don't hear any difference in the ons. I hear the off, but on sounds the same.
Put it on. Here's another example of a similar sound with Mitch from ASAP Science saying positive.
There are positive evaluations. Positive.
Or Gunnarolla saying coffee and top.
G&B coffee from the world's top roasters and...
Really? It's an aw. Coffee. And Americans do more of an aw. Coffee. Caw. I sound like a weird bird right now. I'm trying so hard to figure out this accent. Aw. Yeah, there's a different coffee. I'm also like changing my voice. This is making me do weird things.
farms, top.
Coffee, top. There are actually so many.
John F. Kennedy. John.
It got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dr. Bryce. Dr.
Yeah, it's like thinking of it being spelled HAWT, hot, instead of hot. You have to get that W sound almost. My vocal muscles aren't used to this. This may very well be true. This may very well be defining the Canadian accent, but I gotta be honest, I don't think I ever would have noticed this difference between the American and Canadian accent.
Hot. Tom. Not feeling.
Octopus taco.
Come to think of it, I have an on and off accent with the word orange. I'm originally from New Jersey and I've always said orange, but since people have pointed it out and poked fun at me for it, I started making attempts to bury it deep within me.
Orange, like you gotta become a pirate to be Canadian. Orange.
That's what she said. Stop me. So sometimes I try to say orange. Oh, so much effort. And Gunnarolla actually told me that he has put forth effort to try to say about instead of about.
Oh, here we go. Now we're getting into the good stuff. This is classic Americans doing a stereotypical Canadian accent. We say, oh, a boot. What are you going on about? And it's like, no. I know now. Canadians are not out there saying a boot. I thought it's like a toned down version, like a boat. But it doesn't even sound, it sounds even less toned down, more toned down. judging by what this guy's saying.
That he has put forth effort to try to say about instead of about.
About. About. About. About. So that's not even a boat level. Nowhere close to a boot. There's a boot, a boat, and there's this. There's about. Is that? I don't know. Canadians, you can probably hear if I sound Canadian or not. So you can be the judge of this. Am I even doing it remotely correctly? Because, of course, Americans just say about. About.
So I understand the struggle. Listen, girl, you don't gotta change for me. Canadians also tend to open their mouths more when they're saying words like candy, which become candy, or can't instead of can't.
Candy? What? Now? This video is blowing my mind. Because again, Americans, we as Americans, we have an idea in our mind of what Canadians are supposed to sound like. And I think our stereotypical, our stereotyped Canadian accent is just flat out wrong. Or maybe it's a certain subculture of Canadians, I don't know. But all of this stuff is like news to me.
It's like candy, which become candy.
Candy? Candy? I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. Candy? Candy. Candy. Like more mouth. Candy. Is this real? Am I being pranked right now? I think I'm just overdoing it is the problem.
Or can't instead of can't. Man versus man.
I can't help it. Okay, I can't 7 goddamn days. Damn.
Hey, what's up, man?
Man. Like a Jamaican man. Canadians have a little relationship there. Man. Now I feel like I sound very, very harsh and reedy. Man. Hey, man. Like, that sounds bad to me now.
Man. Like, do Canadians just smile more? And then, of course, there's the opposite effect with the most famous Canadian word, about.
Yes.
I don't know about dude dancing. I don't think that's for me.
They're about to break up with me.
Today we are going to be talking about some
About.
Yeah. The about. The about is way, way more subtle than I thought. I thought a lot of Canadians maybe said about. Is that accurate, or is it more subtle than that?
Not a boat. We're not sailing anywhere. I don't know.
Excuse me. Okay. I literally immediately called out. Okay, so it's not a boat. It's something else.
How to phonetically spell that. Deal with it. So it's kind of like when you're saying about in an American accent, your mouth is more open, and in a Canadian accent, it's about, like just closeder.
About. How's that? Is that better? Closed mouth?
And here's some similar words. Found.
Studies have found
Found. Without.
without a graph, without a
Without. Powerhouse.
The mitochondria is the
So, powerhouse. You got to keep your mouth tighter, is what I'm realizing. Powerhouse. So anytime there's like an OU sound, Americans and Canadians are going to do it differently.
powerhouse.
Powerhouse. Ouch. That sounded German. Out.
Now let's check out Ramen Hood.
Urban Outfitters.
Out. Of course, there's that other famous Canadian word. I'm sorry.
No, I don't see it. Sorry.
Sorry. We're getting all the... Oh, I'm glad. We're touching on all these critical Canadian words. Or I should explain, like, famously different in Canada compared to America. For us Americans, when we hear something different, we are just like, oh, that's so different. That's so not American. And it just fries our brain. So, and this is one of those words that Canadians do. Not sorry, but sorry. Sorry. I think that's actually pretty easy for me to do for some reason. Sore. It's like a cold sore. Sorry.
Sorry.
How do you smile it? I'm sorry. There's also process.
So the challenge in this process.
Process. Tour.
Culinary tour.
Process. That sounds very fancy. Process. Show me the process. I guess we say process. Never really thought about it. Tour? Tour? 2 syllables. Tour? Tour, not tour. I'm learning about the American accent today, really. All these things that we do, I never realized. Like this O sound, this tour. Instead of tour.
Then there's the whole bag versus bag, tag versus tag thing.
Put it on Twitter or Instagram and tag me. Tag.
I have learned about this bag, tag thing. How do you say lag? Like leg? That sounds like leg, though. How do you... I don't know. Most Americans actually don't really know about this one. But I have heard about this one, and it is a huge difference. I used to watch someone on YouTube who had an accent, and they would say Dager or Dragon. It was like a fantasy channel about a game, and they're like, "Oh, the dragon and with the sharp dagger," and I was like a dragon? Are you trying to say dagger? And I was like, what is his accent? Where in the United States is he from? And now I feel like he was Canadian, and I never understood that because I'd never heard that A sound.
Tag.
And finally, thought in a Canadian accent sometimes sounds like thought. So that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you did like it, please like it and leave a comment below if I missed any Canadian.
Very good. I did enjoy that. That was really cool, actually. This video went into a lot of detail about the Canadian accent that I definitely have never thought about or had spelled out to me so clearly. A lot of interesting differences, and I think we can safely say now, at the end of this video, is there a Canadian accent? Yes, of course! And there's an American accent, and that was kind of is sort of a funny question to begin with, but I really enjoyed the discussion and conversation that came out of this question. Is there a Canadian accent? This video is by Soundly Awake, and I gotta give this a like, because that was a really... I kind of paused the video at a bad time. It's an interesting expression, but nonetheless, I enjoyed his video very, very much. And I learned quite a bit about, I don't know, Canadian accent, Canadian linguistics, I think, today. It's actually really hard for me as an American to do a lot of the Canadian sounds, if that makes sense, but I quite enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the Canadian accent compared to the American accent and how my rendition of the Canadian accent, how good that was. You won't hurt my feelings. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.